Kim Dae-ho wiped the sweat from his face as he finished checking the mining equipment. The asteroid belt around New Jeju Colony was rich with rare metals, but the work was hard and dangerous. He had been doing this job for 6 years now, since his wife died and he needed to support his daughter. "Papa, are you done yet?" Sora called from her small desk in the corner of the mining station. The 8-year-old girl was drawing pictures of Earth, a planet she had never seen but dreamed about visiting someday. "Almost finished, little star," Dae-ho said with a smile. He always called her his little star because she was the brightest thing in his life. "Just need to check the deep scanners one more time." The mining colony of New Jeju was small and quiet. Only 300 people lived there, mostly families like Dae-ho and Sora. The colony had basic defenses, but nothing serious. Earth was far away, and nobody ever bothered them out here in the empty space between stars. Dae-ho looked at his daughter and felt proud. She was smart and kind, always helping the other children in the colony school. Sometimes he felt bad that she had to grow up so far from Earth, but this was their home now. The pay was good, and they had a peaceful life. The warning alarm suddenly started ringing through the station. Dae-ho frowned and checked his computer screen. The sensors showed ships approaching fast from the outer system. Big ships. Military ships. "Papa, what's that noise?" Sora asked, looking scared. "Probably just a supply convoy that forgot to send the right signals," Dae-ho said, but he felt worried. Supply ships never came without warning, and these ships were moving too fast. The communication system crackled to life. "All colonists, this is colony control. Unknown vessels approaching. All families report to emergency shelters immediately. This is not a drill." Dae-ho's blood went cold. He grabbed Sora's hand and pulled her toward the emergency shelter built into the mining station. The shelter was small but strong, designed to protect against asteroid impacts or equipment failures. "Papa, I'm scared," Sora whispered as they ran down the corridor. "It's okay, little star. We're just being careful," Dae-ho said, but his hands were shaking as he opened the shelter door. Outside, they could hear explosions in the distance. The ground shook under their feet. Through the station windows, Dae-ho saw bright flashes of light in the sky above the colony. The emergency radio in the shelter buzzed with panicked voices. "They're landing troops in Sector 7. The defense turrets are destroyed." "Where are they coming from?" Dae-ho held Sora close and tried to stay calm. The shelter had enough food and air for 3 days. Maybe the attackers would take what they wanted and leave. Maybe help would come from Earth. Hours passed. The explosions got closer. Through the thin walls of the shelter, they could hear heavy footsteps and strange voices speaking in a language Dae-ho had never heard before. "Human dwellings confirmed," a cold voice said in broken human language. "Search for survivors and valuable resources." Dae-ho's heart stopped. These were aliens. The colony had been attacked by aliens. He quietly moved Sora to the back of the HFY shelter and whispered in her ear, "Listen to me very carefully, little star. I need you to hide behind those supply boxes and stay very quiet. No matter what happens, don't make any sound." "Papa, I don't want to hide," Sora whispered back, tears in her eyes. "Please, Sora. For me, stay hidden and stay quiet." Dae-ho kissed her forehead and gently pushed her behind the metal boxes. The footsteps outside got louder. Something started cutting through the shelter door with a bright laser. Sparks flew as the metal began to melt. Dae-ho grabbed a heavy mining tool from the wall. It wasn't much of a weapon, but it was all he had. He positioned himself between the door and where Sora was hiding. The door fell inward with a loud crash. 3 tall, thin creatures stepped into the shelter. They had gray skin, large black eyes, and wore dark armor. Their weapons looked advanced and deadly. "Human located," one of the aliens said in that same cold voice. "Prepare for extraction." "You're not taking my daughter," Dae-ho said, raising the mining tool. The alien in front tilted its head like it was confused. "Daughter? Where's offspring?" Dae-ho said nothing. He could hear Sora breathing quietly behind the boxes, and he prayed the aliens wouldn't find her. "Search the shelter," the alien commander ordered. The other two began moving around the small space, looking behind equipment and supplies. One of the aliens walked toward the back of the shelter, toward Sora's hiding place. Daeho couldn't let that happen. "Hey!" he shouted, swinging the mining tool at the nearest alien. The heavy metal tool hit the creature's arm, making it drop its weapon. The alien commander raised its own weapon, a strange rifle that glowed with purple energy. "Human shows resistance. Eliminate." "No," Sora screamed from her hiding place. She couldn't stay quiet anymore, seeing her father in danger. The alien commander turned toward her voice. "Offspring located. Capture for processing." Daeho saw the alien turning its weapon toward his little girl. Time seemed to slow down. He could see the purple energy building up in the weapon's barrel. He could see Sora's terrified face as she realized she had given herself away. Without thinking, Daeho threw himself forward. He couldn't reach the alien's weapon, but he could put himself between the gun and his daughter. The purple energy blast hit him in the chest. Pain like fire spread through his body as he fell to the ground. The aliens had weapons that burned from the inside out. "Papa!" Sora screamed, running to his side. Daeho felt his strength leaving him, but he managed to reach out and touch Sora's face. "My little star," he whispered. "Be brave. Be strong. Someone will come for you." The alien commander kicked Daeho away from his daughter. "Human terminated. Secure the offspring." With his last breath, Daeho activated the emergency beacon on his mining suit. The beacon would send a distress signal to Earth, but Earth was so far away. The signal would take 3 days to reach home. "Protect my little star," he whispered. And then Kim Daeho was gone. Sora cried and tried to wake her father, but the aliens pulled her away. They dragged her out of the shelter and toward their ships. Around the colony, other families were being captured or killed. The peaceful life they had built was destroyed in a single day. The alien ships loaded their prisoners and stolen goods, then lifted off into space. Behind them, New Jeju colony burned. 300 people had lived there. Now only empty buildings remained, along with the bodies of those who had tried to fight. In the darkness of space, Sora pressed her face against the window of the alien ship. She could see the colony getting smaller and smaller until it was just a tiny dot of light. Somewhere down there, her father lay dead in the emergency shelter. The emergency beacon continued to transmit its signal into the vast emptiness between stars. The message was simple but would change everything. New Jeju colony under attack. Civilian casualties. Request immediate assistance. That signal would travel for 3 days through the cold darkness of space. When it finally reached Earth, it would carry more than just a request for help. It would carry the last words of a father who died protecting his child. And Earth would respond. Admiral Park Jin-woo was drinking his morning coffee when the emergency signal reached Earth. The communication officer ran into his office at Terra Command headquarters, her face pale with shock. "Sir, we have a Priority 1 distress signal from New Jeju colony," Lieutenant Kim Yoo-jin said, her voice shaking. Park set down his coffee cup. Priority 1 meant people were dying. "Put it on the main screen." The recording played in the Admiral's office. First came the automated distress call, with details about the attack. Then came the personal messages that the colonists had managed to transmit before they died. The last message was from Kim Daeho. His voice was weak and full of pain, but his words were clear. "This is mining engineer Kim Daeho. Unknown aliens have attacked our colony. They're taking prisoners. I'm dying, but I need someone to know. I need someone to find my daughter, Sora. She's 8 years old. She's my little star. Please, someone find her." The recording ended. The office was silent. Admiral Park had been a military officer for 30 years. He had seen war and death and suffering. But something about that father's last words made his hands shake with anger. "Get me President Choi on the secure line," Park said quietly. "And call an emergency meeting of all department heads. Everyone needs to hear this." Within an hour, the most powerful people on Earth were gathered in the secure briefing room beneath Terra Command. President Choi Min-ho sat at the head of the table, his face grim. Around him were the heads of every major government department and military branch. Dr. Lee Hee-jin, the head of Xenological Affairs, stood at the front of the room. She was responsible for Earth's relationships with alien species. Her job was to keep humanity safe by making them seem harmless and peaceful. Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Lee began. 3 days ago, the mining colony of New Jeju was completely destroyed by unknown aliens. 300 civilians are dead or missing. This includes 47 children. She pressed a button and the wall screen showed pictures of the colony before the attack. Happy families, children playing, people living normal lives in the peaceful space settlement. The attackers appear to be a species called the Vorthons. Our intelligence suggests they are raiders who attack weak colonies for slaves and resources. They chose New Jeju because they believed it was defenseless. President Choi leaned forward. Dr. Lee, how long have we been hiding our true military capabilities from the galaxy? 63 years, sir. Ever since first contact with alien civilizations, our policy has been to appear weak and peaceful while secretly developing advanced technology. Most alien species think we are a new race with basic weapons and small ships. Admiral Park stood up. Mr. President, I request permission to activate Protocol Wrath. The room went silent. Everyone knew what Protocol Wrath meant. It was the plan to reveal humanity's true power to the galaxy. For over 60 years, humans had pretended to be weak. Their military ships were disguised as research vessels. Their weapons were hidden. Their true numbers were secret. Admiral, the President said slowly, if we activate Protocol Wrath, there's no going back. The galaxy will know what we really are. Sir, Park replied, they killed a father who was protecting his 8-year-old daughter. They made that little girl watch her father die. They took her as a slave. I don't care if the whole galaxy knows what we are. They need to learn what happens when you hurt our children. Dr. Lee looked worried. Mr. President, revealing our capabilities could start a galactic war. Other species might unite against us if they realize how powerful we've become. Doctor, the President said quietly, play that recording again. The one from Kim Dae-ho. The room listened again to the dying father's words. His love for his daughter. His desperate hope that someone would save her. His last breath spent asking for help. When the recording ended, President Choi stood up. Admiral Park, you have authorization for Protocol Wrath. Find these aliens, get our people back. Show the galaxy what happens when they threaten human families. Across the Earth, military bases that had been disguised as research facilities suddenly came alive. Ships that looked like cargo vessels opened hidden weapon bays. Soldiers who had been pretending to be scientists put on their real uniforms. Captain Yoon Sung-min received his orders while commanding what the galaxy thought was a geological survey ship. In reality, the Soul's Fury was one of the most advanced battleships ever built. Its weapons could destroy entire fleets, but for decades it had pretended to study rocks and planets. Captain, his first officer commander Lim Do-hyun said, we're receiving activation codes for all hidden weapon systems. Finally, Yoon said with a grim smile, how long since we've been able to show what this ship can really do? 12 years, sir, since the last training exercise. Throughout human space, similar scenes were happening on hundreds of ships. The galaxy thought humanity had maybe 50 small military vessels. The truth was that humans had over 2,000 warships, each one more advanced than anything other species had ever seen. At Terra Command, Admiral Park watched as reports came in from across human territory. Ships were coming out of hiding. Weapons were being activated. Soldiers were preparing for war. Sir, Lieutenant Kim Yoo-jin reported, we have full activation on all Protocol Wrath assets. The fleet is ready. Park nodded. On his desk was a photo of his own daughter, now grown up and serving as a ship's engineer. He thought about Kim Dae-ho's last words and felt the same protective anger that every human parent would feel. Send a message to all ship commanders, Park ordered. Mission is search and rescue. We're going to find these Vorthons. We're going to get our people back. And we're going to make sure this never happens again. The message went out across human space in a matter of minutes. On every ship, in every base, The word spread. Humanity was going to war. But this wouldn't be like the wars other species knew. This would be a demonstration of what happened when you threatened human children. The galaxy had no idea what was coming. Captain Yoon received his specific orders an hour later. His ship and 5 others were to track down the Vorthon raiders, who had attacked New Jeju. They had a 3-day head start, but human technology could follow them anywhere. Navigation, Yoon called to his bridge crew. Set course for the New Jeju system. Maximum speed. Sir, the navigator replied. Maximum speed will reveal our true engine capabilities to any ship that detects us. Good, Yoon said. It's time the galaxy learned what human ships can really do. The Soul's Fury and its sister ships jumped to faster than light travel. Their speed was 3 times faster than anything other species thought possible. To alien observers, it would look like the human ships had simply teleported. Behind them, more human fleets were mobilizing. The galaxy thought they were seeing cargo ships and research vessels moving around. They had no idea they were watching the largest military force ever assembled by any single species. Dr. Lee watched the fleet movements from her office and felt afraid. We're crossing a line we can't uncross, she said to her assistant. After this, the galaxy will never see us the same way. But in his command center, Admiral Park felt only determination. He thought about Sora, somewhere in alien hands, probably scared and alone. He thought about all the other human children who might face the same fate if these raiders weren't stopped. Let them see us as we really are, he said quietly. Let them learn that humans protect their own. The hunt for the Vorthons had begun, and for the first time in 60 years, humanity was showing its true face to the galaxy. The Soul's Fury reached the New Jeju system in 18 hours. Captain Yoon Sang-min stood on his bridge looking at the ruins of the human colony. The mining stations were burned and empty. Bodies floated in space where the colonists had tried to escape. Lieutenant Bae Soo-jin, begin tracking analysis. Yoon ordered his tactical officer. Bae worked at her console, using sensors that other species didn't know existed. Human technology could track the energy signatures of alien ships even days after they had passed through a system. Captain, I have the Vorthon trail, Bae reported. 6 ships heading toward the Keth system. Their engines leave a specific quantum signature that our sensors can follow. How long ago did they leave? 4 days, sir, but they're traveling slowly because of their stolen cargo and prisoners. Yoon felt anger building in his chest. The aliens were taking their time because they thought no one could catch them. They had no idea that human ships could move 3 times faster than their vessels. Set course for Keth system, maximum speed, Yoon ordered. And send a message to Fleet Command. Tell them we've found the trail. Across human space, other ships received the tracking data. What the Vorthons didn't know was that humans had been watching their empire for years. Ships that the aliens thought were harmless traders had actually been gathering intelligence about Vorthon military strength and ship movements. Commander Nam Ki-tae received his orders aboard the stealth destroyer Silent Wind. His ship was completely invisible to Vorthon sensors, and his mission was to track down any other Vorthon fleets in the area. Commander, his sensor officer reported, we're detecting 3 Vorthon battle groups moving toward human space. It looks like they're planning more raids. Nam smiled coldly. Perfect. Let's show them what happens when they make that mistake. The Vorthons had no idea they were being hunted. Their commander, Thexvar, was confident that his raids on human colonies would continue to be easy and profitable. In his mind, humans were weak creatures with basic technology and no real military. Commander, his second officer reported, our scouts report that human space appears empty. No military response to our raids. Excellent, Thexvar said. Increase our raiding schedule. If the humans won't defend themselves, we'll take everything they have. But unknown to the Vorthons, human ships were already surrounding their positions. The aliens' sensors couldn't detect the advanced stealth technology that humanity had developed over decades of secret research. Captain Yoon's fleet reached the edge of the Keth system and immediately detected the Vorthon raiders. The aliens were moving slowly, confident that they were safe in their own territory. There they are, Lieutenant Bae reported. 6 ships, just like our tracking predicted. One of them is definitely a slave transport. Yoon felt his anger spike. Sora was probably on that ship along with other human prisoners. Can we scan for human life signs? Working on it, sir. Bei's fingers moved across her console. Yes, I'm detecting approximately 40 human life signs on the transport vessel, all alive. For the first time in days, Yoon felt hope. They had found the prisoners in time. Now they just had to get them back. Sir, the communications officer reported, we're receiving a message from the Silent Wind. Commander Nam has engaged 3 Vorthan battle groups. He reports complete success. Complete. Success, Yoon asked? Yes, sir. All 3 battle groups have been destroyed. No Vorthon survivors, no human casualties. Yoon nodded grimly. The Vorthons were starting to learn what human military technology could really do. But they probably thought it was just lucky strikes. By a few small ships, Captain, Bei called out. The Vorthan raiders are changing course. They're heading for their main fleet at Keth Prime. Keth Prime was the Vorthon's military headquarters in this region. If the raiders reached it, they would have the protection of hundreds of warships and planetary defenses. How long until they reach Keth Prime? Yoon asked. At their current speed, 6 hours. And how long until we can catch them? 2 hours, sir. Yoon made his decision. Battle stations. We're going to intercept them before they reach safety. The Soul's Fury and its escort ships accelerated to attack speed. Their engines burned brighter than small stars as they raced to catch the alien raiders. On the Vorthan slave ship, Sora huddled in a corner of the prisoner hold with the other human captives. She had been crying for days, thinking about her father and wondering if anyone would ever come to save them. Don't worry, little one, said an older man named Jiang Wubin, who had been a teacher on New Jeju. Someone will come for us. How do you know? Sora whispered. Because we're human, Jiang said with a sad smile. Humans never abandon each other. Suddenly the ship shook violently. Emergency alarms started ringing throughout the vessel. Through the small window of their prison, Sora could see bright flashes of light in the distance. On the bridge of the Vorthon command ship, Thexvar stared in shock at his sensor displays. How many human ships are attacking us? Only 6 ships, Commander, his sensor officer reported. But sir, their weapon readings are impossible. What do you mean, impossible? Sir, one of their ships just destroyed our escort cruiser with a single shot. The energy output was beyond anything in our databases. Thexvar felt the first touch of fear. Contact Keth Prime. Tell them we need immediate reinforcement. But before the message could be sent, another Vorthan ship exploded. Then another. The human ships were moving faster than Vorthan weapons could track, and their shots never missed. Captain Yoon watched the battle from his command chair. His ships were holding back, using only a fraction of their true firepower. They needed to capture the slave ship intact. Target their engines only, he ordered. Disable, don't destroy. Lieutenant Bei nodded. Understood, sir. Precision strikes, on propulsion systems. The Soul's Fury's weapons fired with perfect accuracy. The Vorthon ships found their engines destroyed but their life support intact. They were helpless but alive. This is Captain Yoon Sang-min of the Earth Defense Force. Yoon broadcast to the disabled Vorthon ships. You are under arrest for the murder of civilians and the kidnapping of children. Surrender immediately and you will be treated according to galactic law. Thexvar couldn't believe what he was hearing. Earth Defense Force? The humans had no military. Their intelligence said humans were peaceful traders with no weapons. This is impossible, he whispered. Humans don't have warships. Sir, his communications, officer said nervously. Should I respond to their demand? Before Thexvar could answer, his sensors detected something that made his blood go cold. More human ships were appearing throughout Vorthan space. Dozens of them, all moving at impossible speeds and carrying weapons that could destroy entire fleets. Sir, the sensor officer reported, his voice shaking. I'm reading massive human fleet movements across 3 star systems. There are hundreds of ships. They're not research vessels, sir. They're all military. They're all armed. Thexvar realized the terrible truth. For decades, the humans had been lying. They weren't weak. They weren't peaceful. They had been hiding their true strength, waiting for someone to give them a reason to reveal it. And by attacking New Jeju Colony, by killing Kim Dae-ho in front of his daughter, the Vorthons had given them that reason. Open communications, Thexvar said quietly. Tell the humans we surrender. But in the prisoner hold of the slave ship, Sora was looking out the window at the human warships with wonder in her eyes. The ships were beautiful and powerful, and somehow she knew that. Her father's last wish was coming true. Someone had come to save her. The hunt was over. The rescue was about to begin. The human fleet surrounded the disabled Vorthon ships like hunters around trapped prey. Captain Yoon ordered his boarding teams to prepare for the rescue operation, but before they could begin, his communications officer received an urgent message. Captain, we're being hailed by Keth Prime. It's the main Vorthon military command. Put them through, Yoon said. The face that appeared on the screen was different from the raiders. This Vorthon wore elaborate military decorations and spoke, with the authority of high command. Human vessels, I am General Crixmore of the Vorthon Imperial Fleet. You will release our ships immediately and withdraw from Vorthon space. Yoon stood up slowly. General, I am Captain Yoon Sang-min. Your raiders attacked a peaceful human colony. They murdered civilians and kidnapped children. We're here to take our people home. The actions of independent raiders are not the concern of the Imperial Fleet, Crixmore replied coldly. You have 30 minutes to withdraw before we respond with force. Captain Yoon felt his anger rising. These aliens thought they could hide behind politics while their people murdered human families. General, Yoon said quietly, let me be very clear. You have human prisoners, children. You will return them immediately, or you will face the consequences. Crixmore's expression showed contempt. Humans do not threaten the Vorthon Empire. Your 6 small ships are no match for our fleet. The transmission ended. Yoon turned to his tactical officer. Lieutenant Bay, how many Vorthon ships are stationed at Keth Prime? Sensors show approximately 200 warships, sir, plus planetary defense systems. Yoon nodded. And how many human ships are now in this system? Bay checked her displays and smiled. 47 ships have arrived in the last hour, sir. More are coming. What General Crixmore didn't know was that humanity had been preparing for this moment for decades. Ships that had been scattered across the galaxy as research vessels and trading ships were now revealing their true nature. Each one was a weapon of war disguised as something harmless. Admiral Park Jin-woo arrived in the system aboard his flagship, the Righteous Fury. The massive ship had spent 20 years pretending to be a deep space exploration vessel. In reality, it carried enough firepower to level a planet. Captain Yoon, Park's voice came through the communications. Report on prisoner status. 40 human civilians confirmed alive on the slave transport, sir. One is Sora Kim, the 8-year-old daughter of the colonist who died protecting her. Park felt his resolve harden. Begin rescue operations immediately, and prepare for full combat engagement. On the slave ship, Captain An Yuna led her rescue team through the corridors. Her soldiers moved like shadows, using stealth technology that made them invisible to Vorthon sensors. The Vorthons never saw them coming. The prison guards were unconscious before they knew they were under attack. Captain An opened the cell doors and found the human prisoners huddled together in fear. It's okay, she said gently. We're Earth military. We're here to take you home. Sora looked up at the human soldier with wonder. The woman wore armor that seemed to shimmer with its own light, and her weapon looked like something from a science fiction movie. Are you really here to save us? Sora asked in a small voice. Captain An knelt down and smiled. Yes, little one, we're here to save you, and we're going to make sure this never happens again. As the rescue teams evacuated the prisoners, General Crixmore was receiving reports that filled him with growing dread. Sir, his intelligence officer reported, our long-range sensors are detecting massive human fleet movements throughout the galaxy. There are thousands of ships, not hundreds. Their technology is far more advanced than our intelligence indicated. That's impossible, Crixmore said. Our spies have been watching human space for decades. They have minimal military capability. Sir, I think their spies have been watching us too, and I think they've been lying about everything. The truth was sinking in. For 60 years, humanity had played a careful game. They had appeared weak while building strength. They had seemed peaceful while preparing for war. And now that war had come. Admiral Park opened communications to all Vorthon forces in the system. His voice was calm but carried the weight of absolute authority. This is Admiral Park Jin-woo of the Earth Defense Force. You attacked our colony. You killed our people. You took our children. This ends now. Admiral, General Crixmore replied, trying to sound confident. You are outnumbered 5-1. Withdraw now and we may show mercy. Park's response was broadcast not just to the Vorthon fleet, but to monitoring stations throughout the galaxy. Other alien species would hear humanity's message and understand what it meant. General, you seem to misunderstand the situation. You are not facing 6 human ships. You are facing the full military might of humanity. We have been watching you. We have been preparing. And now you will learn what happens when you threaten human families. The space around Keth Prime suddenly filled with human warships. They seemed to appear from nowhere as their stealth systems deactivated. What the Vorthons thought was empty space was actually full of Earth's most advanced military vessels. General Crixmore stared at his sensors, in disbelief. Over 300 human ships now surrounded his position. Each one was larger and more heavily armed than his best warships. This is impossible, he whispered. But the demonstration was just beginning. Admiral Park had decided that the galaxy needed to see what human technology could really do. All ships, Park ordered, fire 1 warning shot. Target the asteroid field. The DI. Human fleet fired in perfect coordination. Their weapons reached out across space and touched a large asteroid belt near Keth Prime. The rocks simply vanished, not destroyed, erased from existence as if they had never been there. General Crixmore, Park said quietly. That was a demonstration. Your fleet is next, unless you surrender immediately. The Vorthon general looked around his bridge at his terrified officers. His most powerful weapons couldn't even scratch the asteroids that the humans had just erased completely. Sir, his tactical officer whispered, our weapons can't penetrate their shields. Their technology is centuries ahead of ours. Crixmore realized he had 2 choices, surrender or watch his entire fleet be destroyed in minutes. But his pride as a Vorthon warrior wouldn't let him give up easily. All ships attack formation, he ordered. We fight with honor. The Vorthon fleet moved to engage the human ships. 200 warships against 300. Under normal circumstances, it might have been a fair fight. But these weren't normal circumstances. The humans weren't using normal technology. The battle lasted exactly 14 minutes. When it was over, every Vorthon ship was disabled or destroyed. Not a single human vessel had even been scratched. General Crixmore sat in his ruined command center, his ship powerless and drifting. Around him, the pride of the Vorthon Imperial fleet was nothing but wreckage. Admiral Park's voice came through the emergency communications. General, your fleet is defeated. Your planet is defenseless. Surrender now and your people will be treated with mercy. Crixmore looked at his tactical display. The human ships were positioned to destroy every military installation on Keth Prime. They could wipe out the entire Vorthon military in an hour. I surrender, he said quietly. But Admiral Park wasn't finished. He opened communications to the entire galaxy, knowing that every species would be listening to this moment. This is Admiral Park Jin-woo of Earth. Today, Vorthon raiders attacked a human colony and killed innocent families. They made an 8-year-old girl watch her father die. This is the result. Any species that threatens human civilians will face the same judgment. We are not the weak newcomers you thought we were. We are humanity, and we protect our own. Throughout the galaxy, alien leaders watched the footage of the battle and felt a cold fear settle in their hearts. Humanity had revealed its true face, and it was terrifying. 3 weeks after the battle at Keth Prime, the Galactic Council gathered for an emergency session. Representatives from hundreds of species filled the great chamber on the neutral station of Harmony Point. They had all seen the recordings of humanity's demonstration of power, and they were afraid. Ambassador Kang Yunsu walked into the chamber wearing the simple blue uniform of Earth's diplomatic service. She looked small and peaceful compared to the armored delegates from warrior species, but everyone in the room knew that appearances meant nothing when it came to humans. The council chairman, a tall insect-like being called Vex Talar, called the session to order. We are here to address the recent military actions taken by the human species against the Vorthon Empire. Murmurs filled the chamber. Many species had been planning their own raids on human territories. The apparent weakness of humanity had made them seem like easy targets for expansion and resource gathering. Ambassador Kang, the chairman continued, the council demands an explanation for your species' unprovoked attack on Vorthon space. Kang stood slowly and walked to the center of the chamber. Her voice was calm, but carried clearly to every corner of the room. Honorable Chairman, distinguished representatives, I want to tell you about a man named Kim Dae-ho. She pressed a control, and the chamber's screens showed images of the new Jeju colony before the attack, families working together, children playing, people living peaceful lives. Kim Dae-ho was a mining engineer. He worked hard to support his 8-year-old daughter Sora after his wife died. He never hurt anyone. He never threatened any species. He just wanted to give his little girl a good life. The screens changed to show the wreckage after the Vorthon raid. Bodies floating in space. Burned buildings. The destroyed dreams of 300 people. The Vorthons came to his colony and killed everyone they could find. When they found Dae-ho and his daughter hiding, he put himself between the raiders and his child. He died protecting her. His last words were asking someone to save his little star. Kang looked around the chamber at the alien faces. Some looked uncomfortable. Others seemed unmoved. You call our response unprovoked. I say we showed remarkable restraint. The Vorthon representative, a wounded officer named Kelvash, struggled to his feet. Ambassador, your species destroyed our entire military fleet. Thousands of Vorthon warriors died. Kang turned to face him. Officer Kelvash, how many children were on your warships? What? None, of course. Military vessels don't carry children. Exactly. When we destroyed your fleet, we killed only soldiers who chose to fight. When you raided our colony, you murdered families and kidnapped children. Do you see the difference? The chamber was silent. Many species had been planning similar raids on human colonies, thinking they were easy targets. For 60 years, Kang continued, humanity has followed a policy of peaceful coexistence. We disguised our military strength because we didn't want to frighten other species. We wanted to be part of the galactic community, not its rulers. She pressed another control. The screens now showed images of human ships throughout the galaxy. Vessels that other species had thought were harmless traders and researchers were revealed as advanced warships. But we have been watching. We have been learning. And we have been preparing, not for conquest but for protection. Admiral Park Jinwoo entered the chamber, wearing his full dress uniform. The sight of the human military commander made several alien delegates step back in fear. Admiral Park, the chairman said nervously, the council did not invite military personnel to this session. Chairman, Park replied politely, I'm here to deliver a message from Earth. He walked to the center of the chamber and stood beside Ambassador Kang. When he spoke, his voice carried the authority of someone who had just demonstrated humanity's true power. For generations, your species have seen humanity as weak, young, harmless. You divided our space among yourselves in treaties we weren't allowed to sign. You planned raids on our colonies because you thought we couldn't defend them. The screens around the chamber showed more images. Human fleets moving through space, advanced weapons being tested, massive shipyards building vessels beyond anything other species possessed. You were wrong about us. We are not weak. We are not harmless. We have technology that surpasses your understanding. We have weapons that can erase fleets from existence. We have the power to remake this galaxy. Fear rippled through the chamber. Several alien delegates were quietly sending messages to their home governments, warning them to cancel any plans for human territories. But, Park continued, we don't want to rule you. We don't want to conquer your worlds. We want the same thing we've always wanted, to live in peace and raise our families." He gestured to the screens, which now showed images of Sora and the other rescued prisoners arriving safely on Earth. "However, if you threaten our families, if you harm our children, if you make a father die protecting his daughter, you will face our judgment. And our judgment is final." The Vorthon delegate tried to speak. "Admiral, surely there can be negotiations." "There are no negotiations when it comes to our children," Park said firmly. "There are no treaties that will protect you if you harm human families. There is only the choice: leave us alone or face the consequences." Ambassador Kang stepped forward again. "The Galactic Council has a decision to make. You can continue to see humanity as we really are, a peaceful species that wants friendship and cooperation, or you can see us as a threat to be eliminated." She paused and looked around the chamber. "But understand this. If you choose to see us as a threat, you will discover that we are a threat beyond your imagination." The Vorthon fleet learned this lesson. We hope it will be the last fleet that needs to learn it. The session ended in silence. As the human delegation left, alien representatives sat in their chairs, trying to process what they had heard. Back on Earth, Sora was living with her aunt Kim Miran in a small house near the ocean. She was going to school and making new friends, but she still had nightmares about watching her father die. Dr. Song Haiwan, a child psychologist, was helping her work through the trauma. "Sora, do you remember what your father called you?" "His little star," Sora said quietly. "And do you know why?" Sora shook her head. "Because stars are lights in the darkness. They guide people who are lost. Your father's love for you guided the entire human fleet to find you. In a way, you saved all of humanity by showing us what we're willing to fight for." That evening, Sora and her aunt planted a small tree in their garden. It was a memory tree for her father, something that would grow strong and beautiful as the years passed. "Will the bad aliens come back?" Sora asked as they watered the small sapling. "No, little star," Miran said gently. "They learned their lesson. Everyone did." Across the galaxy, the message was spreading. Species that had been planning raids on human space quietly canceled their operations. Governments that had been preparing to demand human territories suddenly found other concerns more pressing. The Galactic Council passed new resolutions recognizing human territorial rights and establishing strict penalties for attacks on civilian populations. Everyone understood that these laws existed not because of justice but because of fear. On the rebuilt New Jeju colony, a memorial wall was erected with the names of all who had died in the raid. At the top, in letters of gold, were the words, "Kim Dae-ho, beloved father. His sacrifice lit the fires that protected all of humanity's children." Engineer Lim Jae-sung, who was overseeing the colony's reconstruction, stood before the memorial every morning. He had lost friends in the raid, but their deaths had not been in vain. The galaxy would never again see human colonies as easy targets. Years passed. Sora grew up to become a starship engineer, following in her father's footsteps of building things that would help humanity reach for the stars. She kept his mining tool in her quarters as a reminder of his sacrifice. The galaxy learned to live with the new reality. Humanity was not the weak newcomer species they had believed. They were a sleeping giant that had been awakened by the death of one father protecting his child. Trade continued. Diplomacy flourished. Peace was maintained. But in the dark corners of space, when raiders and pirates gathered to plan their attacks, they would always ask the same question. Are there any humans there? And if the answer was yes, they would find somewhere else to pray. The galaxy had learned that humanity's greatest strength was not their technology or their numbers. It was their willingness to unleash unlimited violence on anyone who threatened their families. In the final analysis, the Vorthons had been right about one thing. Humans were a young species, new to the galaxy, but they had been wrong about everything else. The memorial on New Jeju Colony bore witness to the truth that every species now understood. Humanity protects its own, no matter the cost. And somewhere in the vast emptiness of space, The echo of Kim Dae-ho's last words still carried his. Love across the stars. Protect my little star. The galaxy had heard. The galaxy had learned. The galaxy would remember.